I think if you turned to the poets, you'd find that they'd always been aware of the importance of sleep. It's only sort of latter-day physiologists who say things like sleep is redundant. They don't seem to me to really know that that's very unlikely. If it was, lots of us wouldn't sleep. The poets knew that very important things went on in sleep. I mean, the pharaohs, didn't they, used dreaming as a means of predicting the future. They really thought that dreams were the best bet for knowing what was going to happen. And do you know, they were probably right, you see. And every mother knows that sleep is crucial for growing children so that they will grow up to be big and strong and benefit from the processes that those mothers know are part of sleep, although they may not be able to put more precise labels to such states. You can have people who... let me tell you what insomnia is in my mind. It is a complaint, isn't it, about not sleeping. It is not sleeping. Churchill, we gather, only needed 3 hours sleep. I mean, he drove everybody else to distraction because they needed more sleep than he needed. He could just go on and on and on. He did actually catnap a bit during the day, but even when you added it all together, older people do. Older people, you know, sleep begins to break up. They sleep less at night, and then they catnap a bit more during the day. But if you add it all up, it still comes to the 6 to 9 hours. But some of us actually don't need much sleep. Hypomanic people, I didn't touch on hypomania, but there's a fascinating relationship with sleep. Of course, they've got tremendous internal drive and they hardly sleep at all. And some people, you know, surgeons, just very mildly, effectively, constitutionally hypomanic, not sort of wet and gloomy like psychiatrists or something like that, but tremendous drive, very effective, all got their act together. Get up in the early hours of the morning, they're in the operating theatre at 8. They don't complain about not sleeping. There's a joie de vivre about it, you see. So that's not insomnia. Insomnia is actually complaining about sleep, about not sleeping, okay? Different matter. And at the end of the day, you get people in whom it's just simply monosymptomatic. I can't sleep, I haven't slept for a very long while, kind of complaint. Now, my experience of that is that it is always related. It's like people complaining of pain. You know that complaint of pain? It's so difficult to understand. My view about those symptoms is that complaint over the years gets collapsed into a symptom which has meaning, which is thought to be communicable. Doctors are interested in pain and so on. But when you take it back, you dissect it out, you find it's just part of the systems I've been talking about. And perhaps I could just leave you with the last thought that most of the patients I've seen with severe insomnia have two major difficulties in their life. One, well, not difficulties, but two major strands to their existence. One is that they've got anger locked up inside of them. A really pathological, psychopathological state is to have helpless anger locked up in you. See, anger is for action, but if you're angry, deprived, rejected, and you can't deal with the thing, and grotty neurotic relationships lock anger up in people, then you can't sleep. Anger prevents you from sleeping. And what's the other thing that happens in bed? Well, you will remember that it's sex. Now, if a relationship is sexually deprived, or if one partner feels rejected, you see this. This is not, you know, some sort of Freudian fantasy. This is Mrs. Jones, who actually has not been able to have sexual relationships with her husband since she had a hysterectomy. You could understand that, you know, the meaning for her of sex. Or since her father died. There's a classical one. Her father died 3 years ago, and ever since then she's been frigid. And the husband has felt, and he's right, that in some sort of way there's been a decompensation in their adjustment by virtue of this third event, and he is rejected. So there's one thing that prevents you going to sleep, isn't it? And that is some kind of sexual consummation. Have you noticed that? And of course, that if you feel like that, you're going to feel angry as well. Now that is a really disruptive package for sleep. And many people with severe insomnia, when you tease open the strands, and they won't readily talk about these things, if they could, they wouldn't have the problem. And if they could talk to you readily about them, they wouldn't be telling you about their sleep instead. So at the drop of a hat, you'll just play their game, treat their insomnia and run through the repertoire of hypnotics. You won't get anywhere. So they're just a few thoughts on sleep. We've run out of time. Thank you.